Hey folks, here we are at the greenhouse. So this is our heated greenhouse. It's a 35 by 100 feet greenhouse made by Ottawa. Really top of the line, excellent model. Ovaltech, very strong, highly recommend it. And it's heated. So basically in the beginning of March, we turn on the heat and we start and we plant tomatoes. So we got our cherry tomatoes, our greenhouse cucumbers, our beef tomatoes, all growing in here because these are crops that are very sensitive to frost and have a very long season, but also have a super high productivity potential. And so we actually started harvesting the very first cherry tomatoes last week. I just ate them all myself because there were so few. But within a couple of weeks, they'll have cherry tomatoes. So before, by the end of May, we'll have cherry tomatoes in the farm store thanks to our greenhouse. Cucumbers, we're harvesting cucumbers already, and it's only mid-May. It's amazing. Usually you wouldn't even have planted your cucumbers outside yet. And so these are trellis crops, and so as you can see, there's these strings going up, and they're going up and up and up. And when the crops reach the top, we actually lean and lower, which means we unroll the string and we scooch them over to diagonal, and we take the leaves off the bottom. So by the end of the season, they're going to be growing, and then they're going to be just stems, stem, and then like 20 feet later, they're going to be going up. So by the end of the season, these tomato plants are going to be about 30 feet long, growing all the way up 10 feet tall, rooted 20 feet down. And we're going to be harvesting tomatoes in here from May until October. And then on November 1st, we rip out the tomato plants and we plant spinach and arugula and lettuce. And these are cold hardy crops that we're able to grow for winter CSA without any supplemental heat. So the reason it's so important to really do it on November 1st is because the light is going down. We are getting less and less and less light. And when you go below 10 hours of light per day, you just get a lot less growth. In fact, you get almost no growth. So if we can get our winter crops planted by the 1st of November, we can get a harvest off of them before Christmas for the winter CSA. Then they just chill. January, February, they're chilling, and in February something very magical happens. We get back above 10 hours of light per day, and the crops begin to grow again. And they grow, and in March, April, we're harvesting greens out of here. In the middle of March, we're creating some space down the middle of the bed. We're ripping out like one row of spinach, and we're planting tomatoes into the bed of spinach. So we have like 2 rows of spinach, a row of tomatoes, 2 rows of spinach. And we still harvesting spinach, and at a certain point, we rip out the spinach and we put down the landscape fabric, the white landscape fabric, and then it's just tomatoes. And so that's the cycle. So we've got the winter greens, but then we're planting the tomatoes and cucumbers, and then we have tomatoes and cucumbers, and then in the fall we're planting winter greens. And so that's the cycle of the greenhouse, and it allows us to have almost a year-round production. This year, we opened our winter CSA at the end of February. We had spinach for the end of February. We had spinach, arugula, lettuce, a little bit of parsley, a little bit of cilantro, all through that early period. February, March, April, and then finally in May we had a 1-week gap. There was 1 week between the last harvest of spinach and the first harvest of arugula from a tunnel. And so that way we were able to close that gap and almost have greens for the entire season, which is pretty exciting. So there you go, folks. That's the basics of greenhouse growing. As you can see, there's netting on it to keep the bugs out. It's an area where we put a lot of work into. It's a high value real estate for high productive crops.